it's so simple and so powerful all at the same time. The mind-body medicine is so attuned in this as well, because mind-body medicine is looking at how your body is reacting to how your mind is working.
Hello happy people, and welcome to the Happy Curator podcast. I'm Juliet J. Harris, aka the Happy Curator. You just heard Lisa Cohen. Lisa is a leading holistic kinesiologist in Sydney, Australia, who is also trained in mind-body medicine and counselling. Lisa works to help those who are exhausted, confused, or in pain. She helps them to find themselves, find their heart, so they can live with energy and confidence. In my constant quest of wanting to dig deeper, I started working with Lisa a few months ago. I have regular kinesiology and energy medicine sessions with her. Every session has uncovered some old beliefs, fear, or energy block I didn't even know I had, but that I was unconsciously carrying with me. Why? Why am I carrying all of this? The internal transformation I experienced was astonishing, and I wanted my listeners to discover her work.
Hi Lisa, thank you for joining us today.
Hi Juliet, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Tell me, you've been working in broadcast TV as a technical director for quite a long time now. So how did you get into holistic kinesiology?
Very interesting. So I've been in broadcast TV for a very long time, and I've done some wonderful things, and I've traveled the world, and I've been to Olympics and all those wonderful things.
Nice.
What I did in about 2000 is I did a counselling degree, and I studied to be a counsellor and worked as a counsellor for a little while, and unfortunately didn't pay the rent. So I went back to TV. But when probably about 6 years ago now, I realised that I needed to be doing something else, that my soul calling was not necessarily TV. So I thought, how can I do what I love, which is helping people to shine? But I didn't want to do it sitting in a counselling chair either. So I looked around and looked at and started studying kinesiology. And it was interesting because I applied for a course on the Thursday, was accepted on the Friday, and started full-time on the Monday. And I had two small kids. So over the weekend, I had to work out how on earth I was going to get the kids to school and all that kind of stuff. But it all worked out. And there was a moment in one of the lectures very early on where I realised that was the place that was exactly right for me. That in TV world, I work with frequency of light and sound and colour. And in the kinesiology world, with the people I work with, it's the frequencies that are in their bodies. So it's actually the same work, same, but different, as we say over here. It's the same work, and it's just the frequencies of that are in your body is what I work with now, and around you, in you and around you. That's what I work with now.
So when did you start also, because you told me you also do mind-body medicine. So did you study this after, or was it at the same time?
At the same time, yeah. So I studied the kinesiology and mind-body medicine at the same time. So I came out with two different qualifications, yeah.
So can you explain to our listeners what is holistic kinesiology and what is mind-body medicine? Because people are very rooted, especially in the Western world, to Western medicine. Go to the doctors, treat the symptom, not the root cause, take medication, and start again if something goes wrong again. In the Eastern world, it's more about, why is this happening? And we want to find the root cause of the issue. So I've always said, bring both together. Whatever is wrong with you, go to your local doctor, but also find something else, to basically be more holistic about it so that you can balance it out. So please explain to our listeners, my lovely.
Sure. So what holistic kinesiology, what it does for you is it actually calms the stress that's in your body, in your mind, and your spirit. Ultimately, what kinesiology does is enables you to live the life that you want. Ultimately, kinesiology is able to get into your subconscious. It's able to really clearly and quickly work out what's underneath, what's underlying your stress, your fear, your anger, the pain that you're experiencing. So what kinesiology does is it enables you safely and gently to touch and to explore and to clear what's held in your body, held in your mind, and held in your spirit, that you can clear and enable you to walk, to move more freely and more in who you are. So the difference with kinesiology and other modalities is that we use what's called muscle monitoring. Now, what that is simply using a muscle. We move a muscle to get directly into your subconscious. And the theory behind that is that when you're discussing something and you find it to be stressful, then the signal that will go from your brain to your muscle simply won't work very well. So when you can even tell people who are walking down the street, you can tell if they're stressed. You can tell by their gait. You can tell by the muscles that aren't quite moving smoothly together. So in a kinesiology sense, we would use, the basis is Chinese medicine. And so with the meridian theory, acupressure, different emotions aligned with meridians, and particular muscles are grouped with particular meridians. So what kinesiology does in essence is uses a muscle. And if I were to ask you, say, Juliet, I was to ask you a question, and if I had you and I was using your muscle, say one of the muscles in your arm, and I often use the brachialis, which is around your elbow, and I would ask you a question. And if I was to say to you, Juliet, will you say, I'm Lisa? And if you say, I'm Lisa, and I move that muscle at the same time, then the muscle's not going to work, simply because it's not, what you're saying is not true, or it's a stress. If then I ask you, if you say, yeah, I'm Juliet, then your muscle is actually going to hold, because it's not stressful, because it's true. So what we can do is we can explore around a goal that you're looking for. What is stressing you? We can look at hormones, we can look at neurotransmitters, we can look at underlying fear, we can even look at a time in your life that the original fear or misunderstanding arrived in your world. It's so simple and so powerful all at the same time. The mind-body medicine is so attuned in this as well, because mind-body medicine is looking at how your body is reacting to how your mind is working. So what you're thinking, what you're believing, what your perceptions are. So your posture will show you ultimately what you believe about yourself. Even the shape and the color of your tongue can tell us a little bit about what meridians are under stress as well. Your skin can give us information. All these symptoms, all these physical, the way that your hips are, how your hips are aligned or not aligned, how your spine is, can give us all indications about what's happening on the inside, like what's happening on the inside. Had a client who was kept falling over and couldn't really balance in what she was doing, and through some work with her, well, what was happening on the inside was that she was really unbalanced on the inside. She couldn't work out how to find equilibrium within her mind, within her emotions, because of some things that were going on for her. Once we cleared that, and once we were able to clear the stress around memories that she had, it was like magic. She could actually walk and be stable, and she didn't fall over again. You know, it's that connection between your mind and your body, mind-body medicine, the connection in kinesiology between your mind, your body, and your spirit, that brings it all together, using energy work, using physical work, using counselling, emotional work brings it all together.
Well, I've had a couple of sessions with you, and I must say that each time after the sessions, I felt very zen. There was so much peace that came out of me. And I must say that it's very, very subtle, but things slowly started shifting in the right direction. And it's true, that we don't realize, because as spiritual beings, when we start on this journey, we have so many layers of beliefs that don't serve us, that we just peel away. But there comes a point where we don't think or see anything that's holding us back anymore. We know there is something, but we don't know what it is. And for me, it's been really interesting to basically work with different people with different modalities to try to understand where all of this is coming. And I would say all the time it's the subconscious. And we're holding on tight to so many things. I know that this week when you said something happened, in the womb, when there's about 5 months in the womb, completely blew my mind. But in a way, it made so much sense when we talked about it. And while I am not present there where you are in Australia, and we did this online, because people sometimes go, oh, well, we're not in the same room. I don't see what's happening. And I can understand, people have questions. But the thing about energy is that you don't need to be in the same room, even the same continent for it to work. And, like everything, I've always have like a bit skeptical about things, like, okay, I'm going to try this and see, but you've got to have an open mind. It works or it doesn't work. It's like one day I had issue with my wrist, and energy healer fixed it like in a flash second after months of me trying to fix it with normal physio, and that never worked. But the energy, I was holding on to something and suddenly shifted, and my wrist is not hurting anymore. So for me, the experience that I had with you, it's just been so beautiful. There's this peace, and there's every time we work together, there's another layer. And the first time around, I knew what I wanted to work on. But when you asked me the second time, what's your intention for this? It was right there on the spot that it came to me. I think if you'd asked me 3 days before, oh, okay, what do you want to work with? Nothing would have come out. I think it's one of those things, you need to connect with the person to see, okay, this is what I want to work on today.
And that's the beauty of kinesiology too, is that even if there's a broader goal, even if there's a goal like I want to be happy, say I want to be happy. Lots of people come to me and say, I don't know what's wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. I just want to be happy. So part of the peeling of the onion, it's like peeling the layers back and finding what each layer means. And sometimes the first layer is the broadest of layers, but what it ends up being is something we can discover each layer. And with each layer, what needs to happen is that you, Juliet, or the person that we're working with actually needs to feel safe. So our subconscious rules our life, basically. So 95% of our day, of our world, of our time is in the unconscious world. So we breathe without thinking, we move without thinking, we often speak without thinking. We don't even know what... we
know one like that.
Yeah. We just automatically do our thing. So we automatically have perceptions. We automatically believe things about someone that's walking down the street. We don't even know them, but we have this belief system set up, or this perception about them that is who they are. So we have these already set beliefs and perceptions that are automatic to us. And so what we can do, what part of the journey and the unpeeling of the onion is working out which of those beliefs that we have don't work anymore or don't fit our lives anymore. We often, almost all of us, I'd say, walk around every day with beliefs that have come from our parents, beliefs that have come from a teacher, a grandparent, even a brother, a sibling, an auntie, an uncle. Walk around with beliefs and perceptions, words that we've heard that even from a really young age that we don't understand, but they're in us and we react automatically to those things. So part of what I do with you, Juliet, with people who come to see me that I work with, is enabling that element of safety to let go of those things that you've held for a really long time. Some people believe that I am who I am because I'm just angry. I've always been angry, and the idea that who am I if I'm not angry? Who am I if I don't believe that all white redheads, that's me, all white redheads are cranky all the time or fiery? That's, who am I without the beliefs that I've had forever, even though they don't hold true for me anymore? So it's about being able to feel safe to let them go. And once you actually feel safe to let a layer of that onion go, there's this enormous sense of peace, this enormous sense of lightness, because you're not carrying around things that a belief or a fear that you've got. You don't need to carry them around anymore. Can I give you a quick example that from my own example? When I first started the kinesiology route, and I was going to a kinesiologist myself, there was some things that were going on in my life, and one of the things that came up for me was similar about life in the womb when I was a little thing in my mum's womb. Now, there was some stuff going on around life for my mum at that time, and I'd made a decision in the womb that life was tough. I'd made a decision, and that I was going to be, and I was just going to basically stand still. I was not going to do anything in life that would get me rejected or get me to stand out, right? So that's, and up until that point in my life, it was actually, like, I could see every decision I'd made in my life had been to give everybody else the go, to put everybody else forward, and I was happy just to be the one in the background supporting everybody else. Well, at some point when you're kind of, starting your own business, doing your own thing, you actually need to share the limelight, to actually vocalize what I believe and what I think is important. So the realization and the awareness that what I had decided as a tiny little one in my mother's womb, that I needed to be motionless, and the thing was I needed to be motionless. Well, that didn't hold true for me. It just didn't hold for me. So the awareness of what I decided, the awareness that it's not true for me as an adult, and then the awareness to be able to move out of that. And part of that awareness is the stress that comes from doing things that I'd believed for a really long time were true. The stress around, I can speak. Can I? I can. So it's the ability to practice those things and know that you feel safe with those beliefs or the fear, that you can move. You can be free. You can feel light and peaceful. You can actually be, your heart can actually be free from all that it has weighed down, what it's weighed down with. Part of the beauty of kinesiology is safely and gently lifting your heart from the fear or the pain, from the rejection, and allowing yourself to be who you were innately from that time, probably the time of conception, who you were before everything else started coming to you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We've got like you said, the whole beliefs, that are teachers, parents, grandparents, and all of that, but also the beliefs in our society, wherever you are on this planet, different societies, different sets of beliefs.
Yeah.
And as women, still in some countries, with being put down, a woman shouldn't do this, a woman shouldn't do that, and all of that. And this thing is that a lot of women are going, oh, well, I don't have a voice. Yes, but you haven't been taught how to use it. And that's the thing. And for me, I've always used my voice, but actually realized very recently that I wasn't using my voice. I thought I was. And unpeeling, all the layers one after the other, this is when I thought, oh, but actually, no.
I think it's interesting because particularly with women, as we're young girls, we're told to be good, and we're told to be everything maybe that we don't want to be, perhaps. But we're kind of yes, a lot of us. But there's a realm of growing up as a female that we're told to not listen to our intuition. We have to be what other people want us to be, whether that's good, whether that's clever, whether that's whatever it is. And most of us grow up with the pressure to be who we actually aren't, but to be who other people want us to be.
Or to fit the mold.
Yeah, exactly. To fit the mold, whether it's a family mold or the culture around us, the country we're from, the workplace can make us, want us to fit a certain mold. It's all that kind of stuff. But what it is about being able to speak our voice. And a lot of women are actually, when they're little, when they speak their voice, they're actually cut down and being often told that's not important, that's not clever, it's not what we want to hear, we don't want to hear your point of view, in different forms that comes to us as women. And I think it's practice, as women particularly, practice. What it's about, sitting actually in awareness and learning who you are, learning what it is that's your passion, learning what is in your heart. And part of what kinesiology can do is it can clear all, if I'm allowed to say it, clear all the crap, clear all all the messages that you've got from everybody else, all the messages that say you've got to be a good girl or else you'll be punished. You've got to work really hard, otherwise you'll never have anything. Whatever the messages are that you've received as a little girl, or you've got to have perfect hair.
Or you're not intelligent enough, and you need to be pretty to succeed in life. Yes,
that's exactly it. And it's about clearing those messages and understand, and ultimately too. And if even coming to the understanding that you actually think it's true, some of those things that might be true, you actually think to be, I want to be clever, like to be clever is a good thing, and that's perfect. And one of the things about understanding your own belief systems is being able to hear, to clarify and be clear about what you believe. So hearing the voices that you've had forever, and then being able to hear your own voice to work out what's true, and finding the clarity around that. So it's part of the onion, it's part of the onion.
Yeah, I see it with me, basically. In my family, I was not allowed to have an opinion, or I was always put down. And I think I was not a rebel when I was a teenager, but, afterwards I kind of stood my ground. And that's part of the reason I had major arguments with my mum, is because she was always trying to put me in a box. For a woman, I thought that was pretty weird. And most of the women in my family actually try to put you in a box because you're a woman and don't break the status quo. And you're like, no. I remember as a kid always being told, even when I was an adult, my mother would always be, oh, why can't you be like the others? And every time I would reply, I was like, but that's boring. I said, why do I want to be like the others? But you don't fit the mold. No, I don't. But part of it, of using that, was more rebellious than anything else. It took me a long time, and my mother passing away, to realize that I didn't need to rebel anymore, which kind of made me lose myself.
Who are you without your rebellion?
Exactly that, and you're like, oh, okay, things have shifted. There's no more abuse. There's no more of this. Who am I? And because I'm the kind of person that will just jump in and say, okay, we need to deal. I've pushed it far enough down. Now it's reached my toes and it's got nowhere else to go. I need to deal with that. It's actually what we also call the shadows. You've got to deal with whatever it is, because otherwise you just end up jumping off a bridge, or you get into major depression, or because you're not dealing with your emotions. And I think as a society, that's there are two things. Is that one, we don't like dealing with our emotions, because if you deal with your emotions, it's seen as you're crazy, which you're not. It's about your mental health.
Yeah. Yep.
And the second one is that we don't communicate. So people will not tell you, well, for example, Lisa, well, actually today you've ticked me off. And this is the reason that you ticked me off, and explain it calmly. People will just decide to have a major argument about something that's really tiny, but it's got nothing to do with you. For example, I could be unhappy about something, but I take it out on you, because we're not communicating properly. Something else is going on in my life. It's funny, you were talking about anger, and the anger is never about the person that's receiving it. It's always about the person that's angry.
It's always, anger is actually an emotion that covers something, almost always covers something else. So I could get angry because to cover an emotion that I will do anything in the world not to feel. So I might feel something might happen, and I might feel a sense of shame. I will do anything in the world not to feel shame, and so I'll get angry to cover that, for example. One of the things that we do too is that our body holds our emotion, holds our fears. And so often the symptoms that we get, if we're angry all the time, there's going to be symptoms that our body, when it gets sick to death of being angry all the time, and it's time to do something about it, our body's going to start telling you. It's going to start whisper, maybe with a headache or two, whisper. Then if we ignore it, or if we just basically go to the doctor or have a Panadol and cover it, it's still there. It'll get louder and louder and louder. So those headaches might turn into migraines. Those headaches might become bigger, stronger. It might turn into something else that I'll give you an example in my life. When I had my eldest was probably about 8, and he was getting bullied at school. And I heard one of their story about this particular day, and I went into what I call mama bear thing, and I just, big mama bear on hind legs, woof, like this. So, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't do anything because it was. I wanted him to be able to sort it out. It wasn't huge, but I knew that he was really upset. So Mama Bear came out, but I couldn't let it out. I couldn't do anything with it. Anyway, so then about probably 3 or 4 weeks later, my hair started falling out in clumps, like just huge. I used to have really, really thick hair. My hair, and I didn't connect anything with this, and I just, what's going on? Anyway, so I went to the doctor because I'd lost about a third of my hair from my head. Yeah, I'd lost a heap of hair. So I went to the doctor and said, what's going on? My hair's falling out. So we did all the blood tests, did all the tests. And she said, there's nothing actually wrong with you. I can't help you. I said, okay, but my hair's still falling out. So what can we do about that? She said, well, I can't help you because there's nothing wrong with you. Okay, fair enough, thanks. So I went off then to see my kinesiologist, my beautiful mentor. And it turns out that my nervous system was in full fight-flight and had not been able to shut down. I had not shut down that full fight-flight. That mama bear was still going on. So when you're in fight-flight, and it could be about anything. I mean, in our modern world, our fight-flight is about not catching the bus. It could be anything. But my system, when we're in fight-flight, our blood goes to our limbs, getting ready to run and getting ready to fight. So it moves from our digestive system. It moves from everything that isn't important. It even takes blood from our brain, certain parts of our brain, so we can't even think clearly. So I was in full fight-flight mode for probably, 3 or 4 weeks. And my body just went, okay, that's enough. That's enough. I don't have support. I cannot support keeping the hair on your head. So it just started falling out. So once I had this kinesiology balance and kind of sorted out my nervous system and calmed down my mama bear thing, well, my hair stopped falling out. And it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple, but it's about awareness too. It's about awareness of roughly 3-4 weeks after you've had a shock, after you've had a big outburst of some kind, your body will almost always come out somehow. It has to come out somehow.
Well, disease is dis-ease. So when
yes, exactly.
And that's the thing, a lot of disease are linked to what's going on emotionally to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely what is going on the inside is on the outside. People like to link big disease with big emotion, and yes, that's true. It's not true at the same time, but certainly symptoms that we start getting that are out of the blue, that we don't really know why we're getting them. Certainly it's all about what's happening inside as well. It's about working out the awareness, the connection between your mind and your body, and your spirit as well, about what's happening, what's not happening, that you need to change to be able to be that aware. And part of that too is even generational trauma can it's now proven, and people, it's scientific facts that generational trauma, you experience a trauma, it can change and alter your DNA, which then gets passed down.
Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief.
Yeah, exactly. And so part of that is having that passed down, emotional pain passed down as well. So feelings of loss and grief can be innately in you being born, but it's not yours to hold. So it can be a lot of generational trauma that holds us, but that isn't mine to hold. I have in the last probably 4 years worked out that a lot of for some reason I used to hold a lot of shame, and I never knew why. And then I discovered some things about some of my ancestors that would have been at that time deeply shaming in the society that they were in. And so I realised that I actually had in my cells, I had their shame. Their shame was part of me. And the day that I kind of woke up and it was that part of the onion that was peeled, I went, it's not my shame to hold anymore. And I felt free. I actually felt so much lighter. And from that day to now, I have not felt that shame like I used to. I have not felt that kind of, I can't. No more. From that day forward, I've moved, and that layer of that onion, it's gone forever. I've let my ancestors have their shame. It's theirs to have. It's not mine to have. And so I've let them hold it. I've journeyed with them through that. And now my generation, it can stop.
So the thing about that is, I know, because I've had so many conversations, and whenever sometimes you talk about certain things like that, people go, oh, this is a bit woohoo, and all of this. But like you said, a lot of science is coming out, and people have got a tendency to forget that science, well, it's always been evolving. Science evolves. Science is not set in times. It's a bit like when Galileo who said, can never remember if it's Galileo or Copernic, that said basically, the Earth is round, and everything turns around it, and people were going, today the flat earthers, and you're going, oh my God, and that's the thing. Science evolves all the time.
Yeah. Yep. And what our world is at the moment is we are so caught up in linear thinking. So one symptom, like say, one symptom is treated as a singular symptom. So if you've got something wrong with your heart, then your heart is treated, which is good and needs to be. But there's also what's going on. Why is your heart like that? What is going on around you, around your heart, in your body that's creating that? We're very linear. A plus B equals C. Sometimes life doesn't quite do that. And sometimes A plus B equals maybe D or F or M. So our life is kind of this road that's not straight. Our life and our symptoms, our emotions, our beliefs, what happens to our body is very rarely a straight line, very rarely just point A to B. And what we experience in life is this curved road that goes around hills and up cliffs and, all that kind of stuff. So I've lost my train of thought. I'm not quite sure where I went with that.
Basically, the thing is that you're coming back to what we were talking at the beginning, when people are, I've got this problem, go to the doctor, take the pill, and whatever, but let's treat the symptom. But what is the root cause of that?
What is the underlying issue of your pain, the pain in your shoulder? What is that? A lot of women I know are getting rotator cuff problems in their shoulder, and shoulder problems are often about feeling the weight of the world. It's that kind of, are you feeling the weight of the world? Are you feeling responsible for everything in the whole world?
So what about a hip problem?
What problem?
A hip problem. My auntie's got a hip issue at the moment. So she's like, I need to get surgery. And I'm thinking, okay, if it's completely eroded, then yes, you need to get the surgery. But I know there's a root cause to that. So what would that be? What does the hip relate to?
Often the hip relates to, that's where your stable center is. That's how you move. So the hips is often about moving forward, about being able to feel safe in moving forward. I'll tell you from my experience, I've had a lot of hip issues in the last couple of years. One of the things I realised is that when my hips are playing up, that there's resentment going on in my world. So when my hips start hurting, I go, okay, what's going on for me? Where's my resentment, and what is going on for me? Why am I not in that walking mode of gratitude? Why am I not in that moving forward mode, but rather looking back or looking downward, so that I'm sitting in this icky resentment? And for me, it goes straight to my hips. Everybody has their own thing. But hips is often about moving forward. Hips is like lower back is often is fear. Lower back is almost always fear, and often fear about money, fear about money, about losing or not having enough or whatever.
Because yesterday morning I woke up with a pain in my left lower back, like someone had really pulled the muscle. Right. So I didn't know if it was because I slept badly or if there was something there. Yeah.
And it's often it's as simple as just, it could have been that you slept, badly, but often it's just a matter of checking in. Sometimes you can even just sit, if you've got a moment to be quiet, but just, you can even do it in the shower or whatever, but you can just check in with that part of you that's hurting, and just ask it and just say, what are you here for? What are you, why have you come? What are you trying to tell me? And sometimes it'll just be as clear as day. And sometimes it'll be just, you slept you slept.
Yeah, well, I have two cats that have got, I wake up sometimes, I've got a big bed, and sometimes I just wake up on the side of the bed because cats or any kind of pet, this is my bed. I'm tolerating you here. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing, a few years ago, I just said, oh my God, I've got pain. What can I do? Can I take medication? I need to have a physio or something like that. And yesterday, my first question was like, ooh, what's going on? So it's really been interesting for me to see the shift. Last year, I had a couple of health issues. And because I had surgery the previous year where, I had trouble breathing, they wanted to check me out, but they found nothing wrong with me. And then I realized that my issues with breathing were all linked to me shifting emotionally, spiritually, all linked.
Yeah.
So of course I was gasping for air because I
Yeah.
needed,
Yeah.
to transform and move on. But now
Yeah.
I know, and I don't panic. But when you don't have anyone around you, because a lot of people start going through their spiritual transformation, and they don't necessarily have people around them. They go to websites, they don't necessarily know who to talk to. So you
Yeah.
kind of go into panic mode. And of course, if you have issues breathing, your first call, is like, ugh, doctor.
And it should be, like if you're actually having trouble breathing, then you should actually call the doctor.
But that's the thing, I've seen so many things online. It's like, oh, well, only do Western doctor, only do Eastern. But
Yeah.
that's not how it
It's
works.
no, look, I work, yeah, both, absolutely both. And look, I work with a lot of people who are seeing a psychologist and coming to see me as well. So we actually work together. So the Western psychologist, not even the Western, but the psych work is all about the emotion the emotion part. And then I would work in my setting with releasing that emotion and releasing that pain from their body, so that's actually clear from their mind, their body, and their spirit, so that it can be a full and complete release, a full and complete letting go, not just in your head, but being able to release it from your body, so that your shoulders can move, so that your back can be free and clear of any tension. A lot of people hold their tension in their jaw. A lot of people clenching their jaws, probably right now. There's a lot of stuff going on in our world right now where people are feeling tension and anxiety, and that will come out through stiff shoulders. It will come out through jaw. It will come out through a stiffening of your muscles, and that goes with meridian theory as well. Fear is part of your kidney meridian, and that can be, you can have issues with kind of bloating, can have issues with pain around your lower back, whole lot of different things. And if control is an issue for you, then your water meridian, your kidney and bladder meridians are going to be going crazy if control is your thing. Because at the moment, most of us kind of feel a bit out of control, that we don't know what's going on.
Yes, a lot of people are scared, which isn't understandable. For some of us,
absolutely,
it's like, yeah, we're going through a thing, it's going to be fine. But a lot of people are scared, and I totally understand that. I'm not dismissing it.
There's a lot of people who've lost their jobs, a lot of people who don't know how they're going to pay the rent. I mean, there's people who've lost loved ones in all of this. There's just a lot of mixed emotion, and eventually that mixed emotion is going to come out individually in our bodies, whether it's pain or illness, and it's going to come out communally in blocks of symptoms down the track as well. And that's my I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, the biggest takeout on this is basically listen to your body. Question why suddenly have I got the headaches? Why have I got this? Of course, I'm always the first one to say, go to the doctor. But if that's not working out for you, or if you want something a bit more, then look at different modalities, because the East with the West, I've always thought was the best way to treat anything. The West for the symptoms, the East for the root cause.
Like a friend of mine, in fact, a client, who has been getting them probably the last 3 years, started getting horrific migraines, so much so that she couldn't study or work, or it was terrible migraines. And so the Western world hasn't been able to help. She's now getting Botox injections, because that's one of the latest things to help with migraines. They put it in your head and forehead and stuff. So that's helping her to an extent. But when we did some work together, part of what we discovered was that there's a lot of trauma happening. There's a few things that happened with her in the last couple of years before her headaches started. A lot of trauma and a lot of real hardship, I guess you could call it that. But with this woman, there was a sense that she didn't need to touch that. She didn't need to go there. So needless to say, the migraines have continued and the migraines have kept going. But in my very humble opinion, her migraines are her body's way of telling her you've got to come to terms with the trauma. You've got to come to terms with what's happened. And it's a very difficult subject to bring up for most people. Trauma is a terrible thing, whether it's a little trauma, what some people might think is little, or big trauma, PTSD kind of world. It's a very delicate world to work in, and it's not for people who aren't trained for it. I'm also trained in trauma work as well, and it can be life changing to be able to understand how your body works with that. I have some clients who come in who they're what I consider to have body PTSD. So we know about PTSD that we fall into deep depression or anxiety, can't leave. There's a whole world of that. But there's also in what I've seen as body PTSD, where your body basically falls apart, where you get this pain in your ankle that is so bad you have to have an operation, but there's nothing wrong with your ankle. It's just hurts so much. Or you get back pain that hurts so much, but there's nothing there. Or you get migraines that cannot be helped, but they're just there. There has to be, there is something behind all those symptoms.
Of course, your body, basically, like you said with your hair, your body is telling
Yes.
you, whatever is going on with you need to sort it out, because otherwise I'm just going to keep telling you,
Yeah. And the messages will get louder and louder. So if I hadn't have listened to my hair, yeah. So if I hadn't have listened to my hair falling out, then I don't know what the next symptom was going to be, but it was going to be something louder. It was going to be something, what was coming next. And I was just lucky, and not lucky, I was aware that I needed something more than a pill, because the doctor couldn't give me one, to be honest.
Yeah, and that, for me, I've always said, many years ago, I remember going to the GP, and I said to him, when I was living somewhere else around here, I said, okay, it's like, oh, so what do you need? I said, well, I've come for my annual checkup, but if I'm coming back because I'm sick, you fail me. And he started laughing, kidding. I said, I'm very Chinese when it comes to that, because basically, if I come here and everything checks out and for some other reason I get sick, then that's your fault. That's not mine. And so it's like, actually, he kind of liked that. And he was very open to a lot of things, when I'd be something, he's like, oh, maybe you should try that, and he gave me always different options, which I really like. I started opening myself more and more to that.
And there are lots of options. There are lots of options that are
that we can reach out much more with the internet,
Yes. There's so many options now, and there's different modalities, there's different personalities, there's different everything there's something that will suit you and your problem and your personality and your safety levels as well. There is something for everybody. For me, it's kinesiology, it's mind-body medicine work. It's about clearing the crap that you've collected and enabling your heart to kind of, there's the Japanese theory, the wabi-sabi of clearing and filling cracks in jars with gold. I think that is the most beautiful thing in the world.
I agree.
Where you've got something broken and filling the cracks with gold so it becomes the most precious thing in the world. And that's what I love to do with people with your heart, is we discover the cracks, we discover the bruises, and we fill them with gold and cover them with gold, and your heart becomes your treasure, the most precious thing in the world.
I think that's
and
beautifully said, Lisa. So to wrap up this, I know you've got a couple of tips for our listeners. So what can someone do at home by themselves if they're feeling shitty, basically? They're having a bad day. Yeah, they're feeling shitty. They're having a bad day, you know, and especially at the moment, everybody's stuck inside. Some of us are by ourselves, and so that can get to us. Some of us are stuck with a person we don't want to be with, you know, but we have no choice. Or some of us we're in this loving relationship, but okay, after a while, it's like, I need my space, you know. So So what can you tell us?
Yeah, sure. Look, for people who need a lift, if you're stuck in a space with people that you're kind of a bit sick and tired of, really, is what's going to be important for you is to find a moment, hopefully more than a moment, but a period of time in your day that's yours. It's actually yours for self-nurture. It could be having a shower. You might want to have 3 or 4 showers a day just to have that time to yourself. I find mindfulness in the shower is amazing, because you can actually bring your whole body into it, and you can use a shower, the water that's coming onto your body, to feel how your body is. You can use the water to wash away whatever it is that you need to wash away, whatever, whether it's anger or frustration or whatever. You can use the water in the shower to wash those kinds of things away. Awareness of what's happening for you, awareness of where your body is really, really super important. So the idea that if you're stuck at home and you're starting to feel lonely, that's a big thing for some people too. If you're on your own, starting to feel lonely can actually be a wonderful thing, because you can start to get to know yourself a bit. One of the things I would say to you, if that is the case, I often say to people, when you're a little kid, if you remember back this far, what did you love doing when you were a little kid? What filled your heart with joy? What made you laugh and giggle like you were the freest person in the world? What did you love doing when you were a little boy or little girl? Transfer that to being an adult. If you loved playing in the sand,
yes, but
find something tactile.
Maybe you have the sand, but at the moment we're locked down. So for a lot of people, you know, they're stuck in a flat, maybe in a balcony or anything like that. So it's difficult for these people to, you know, if you ask me as a kid, I love being outside, and I'm super lucky that I've got a garden and I have a dog to walk. But if you don't have that, and you just have that 1 hour during the day where you're allowed to be outside, you still have another 3 hours minus the hours that you sleep to basically not feel lonely. And so touching the sand is going to be a bit difficult, Lisa.
A bit difficult. One of the things you could do, is if you're feeling lonely or feeling whatever it is that you're feeling, is getting in touch with what it is that made you feel good. And for me, part of my thing was when I was a girl, of course, I loved to dance. I as an adult now, I love to dance. It's a different thing. I don't put my points on anymore and, do that. But I certainly put music on. And if I need a lift, I just put some music on and dance. And it could be, and if you've got people in the house that might think you're a bit crazy, just take your phone, your device into the bathroom and do it on your, in your own space. I do it in the lounge room. My kids are there. They just think I'm, crazy mum. But do what it is that if you love moving, then you can move in ways that that can help you release, help you feel better. Some people love the fast movement, like boxing. You can box your way through your house. Some people like a bit of yin yoga. It depends kind of how. Movement is really important to feel unstuck as well, to stretch, and to feel strong, and to get your core muscles really strong can be really helpful too, to feel balanced. So awareness of how and where your mind and body are going together can be really important. Some mood lifting things like some really simple things. If you're stuck inside, I love to burn sage, and if you don't do it near your smoke detectors in your flat, but burning sage or Palo Santo, which is a wood from South America, can be beautiful in terms of cleansing your space, cleansing your space around you, and cleansing your flat. It can cleanse from germs and bacteria, but it can also cleanse the feeling and the emotion of the space as well. So that's something pretty easy, and you can get it pretty easily at health food shops, or maybe not the supermarket, but you can certainly get it at
online these days. Everything is online.
Get it online. Exactly.
Are there any acupressure points that people can press, and just say, okay, if I press this, then that will alleviate a little
absolutely,
the shitty mood or whatever it is?
Absolutely. So there's acupressure points that you can touch that are on your head that are pretty easy to touch. I've got a side part, but if you've got a middle part on the top of your head, if you just put your hand, I know, and I'm doing this, and I know we're on a podcast, so you can't see me, but if you just put your hand flat on the top of your head in the middle, there's some acupressure points in there that you don't necessarily need to accurately touch. But if your hand is over the middle part of your head on the top, then there's some acupressure points there that can bring your mind back into balance. It'll actually help your brain feel more centered and help your brain feel like both sides of your brain can work together. If you're feeling really unsettled and a bit afraid, even, there's points that are on the bottom of your feet, in between the balls of your feet, and if you can either hold them, so if you use two fingers to hold the point in between the balls of your feet, or if you can even just bounce on them. So just go up on your toes and just bounce on that part of your feet a bit. Can really help you feel grounded and really settled. That's a fantastic calming point. If you want a point to lift you, there's some points that are in your torso, in the middle of your torso. There's two, probably a couple of finger widths above and below your belly button, and then one just kind of in the middle of your chest, in between your nipples, really. So if you can hold those three together, and it's easy, it's just kind of, it's not hard. Big energy points. That if you breathe while holding those points, big deliberate breaths in and out, you can bring some beautiful energy, uplifting energy to your body, to your mind and your spirit. Just can be so powerful. Another great thing, if boundaries is your thing at the moment, if you're stuck with people and boundaries are a big deal, on your wrist, top of your wrist, bottom of your wrist, probably on your arm, probably about 2 finger widths from the crease in your wrist, top and bottom, beautiful points to release, to soothe some boundary issues with people, or even with yourself. If you're saying yes too much, then there's some beautiful boundary points for you there as well. For back pain, there are points in the back of your knee. If you've got back pain, you can just hold the back of your knee, and that can help soothe. If you're feeling pain of any kind, there's a point on the back of your hand where your thumb and your pointing finger meet, kind of down in the middle, and that's a beautiful point for pain if you're feeling pain. And these acupressure points, you don't need to hold them really hard. You just need to gently, it's like caressing it. It's just hold it gently, and that's all it needs. And another,
there you have it.
And can I just add another addition to these acupressure points is that essential oils can be wonderful as an addition, simply because the sense of smell is the sense that gets to the emotional part of your brain first, before any other scents. So if you can use smell with this, oh man, it's just so powerful. So if you want to lift your mood, get into any of the citrus oils. So mandarin, orange, lemon, beautiful for lifting your mood. Ginger oil can be fantastic too. Peppermint is beautiful. If you're having issues with breathing, peppermint also can be fantastic for clearing that as well. Lime, nutmeg can be fantastic. One of my faves, which is grapefruit, is fantastic. It just instantly, you just go like that. That's fantastic. And I often don't ever put essential oil directly on your skin.
No, never.
Never. But what you can do is you can put a drop of olive oil on your finger, and then a drop of essential oil. If you don't have, a big carrier bottle, you can just, it's a bit of olive oil or any other kind of oil that you've got at home, or even put it in some moisturizer maybe, and just mix it in with the tips of your fingers, and then put it where you want to. I often put things in the nape of my neck. The other thing you can do is put some essential oil on a tissue, and you can put it in your bra if you're a woman, or in your pocket if you're a guy, and you just carry it around with you for the rest of the day. It can be really beautiful. Essential oils to help calm you down, essential oils to help bring a sense of calm to your mind and your body and spirit. Lavender, classic lavender.
Oh, classic lavender. I have it in my
classic lavender. Yes, I think everyone's got lavender. Marjoram is fantastic for grounding. Patchouli, frankincense is the master healer of all. If it's expensive, but man, it's fantastic. Cedarwood is also, any of the oils that are from big woody trees, fantastic for calming, fantastic for grounding. And the same thing, you can just put them on a tissue, or the calming ones are fantastic if you want to put them on your pillow, put them on a tissue under your pillow at night, can really help you sleep. If you want to put an essential oil before you go to sleep on the bottom of your foot, on that pad at the bottom of your foot, you will sleep like a baby.
Oh, I will try that.
It also works with kids. Kids love it on the bottom of your feet. If your kids are having trouble sleeping, either put some in the bath with them, but then rub the bottom of their feet with a bit of essential oil that's calming, like lavender or marjoram or any of those kinds.
Or diluted in oil, which will repeat.
Yes. Then beautiful calming sleep. It works. So many of my clients, their children, it just goes kabang like that. So it can be really beautiful. If you've got a burner, if it's time, you want the kids to settle down a little bit, or if they're getting kind of depressed because they're inside so much, just burn some orange, burn some grapefruit, burn some any of the citrus oils that you've got at home, or some spearmint or peppermint. There you go.
There you have
drink
it.
Lots of water.
Well,
sorry.
There they have it. They've got a long list of things they can do to help themselves, and thank you for that, because
Pleasure.
In these weird times, I think it will help a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to be able to reach out for these times when people are feeling afraid or feeling really grief-stricken. There's a lot of grief happening at the moment as well. Reach out, whether it's a professional or a friend. Just be able to feel safe to reach out to who you feel safe with. And I think that's really important to know that it's not a failing. It's none of that. It's none of that stuff. There's no judgment in needing to talk to someone to feel that you need help, whether it's a professional, whether it's a psychologist, whether it's a happiness curator, whether it's a kinesiologist.
But that's the thing, like someone said, and I really love that quote, is like, we're all on this planet Earth, and we're trying every day, to live the best that we can. So we didn't come with a book. So we just try our very best every day. Exactly. Lisa, yes. It was a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've really loved it. I've loved kind of sharing,
there you have it,
sharing
people.
The magic.
As you've heard, energy
thank
medicine
you so much,
and kinesiology
I'll talk
can
to you
help
again
people
soon.
with unknown blockages.
Perfect. Thanks, Juliet. Bye.
Why should we carry all luggage constantly when we have safe ways of getting rid of it? Lisa works online and in person in one-to-one sessions. She also runs group workshops and training. She can be found on Instagram and Facebook under Into Balance Kinesiology. You can also check her website, intobalancekinesiology.com.o. All her details are on the podcast page. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends and family, and you can leave me a comment also. You can join the conversation in my Facebook group, The Happy Curator Podcast, and keep updated by following me on Instagram and Facebook at The Happy Curator Podcast. I have a workshop in September called Your Voice Matters. In it, I will address all the reasons why your voice matters and what you can do to use it with confidence. I love doing workshops and empowering people to be themselves. Details on the show's page. If you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee, you can donate on the podcast page too. Until next time.